Okay guys, we're back at it with a long overdue start position update, and we've even got today's update included in this. Tomorrow we're beginning the dwarfs, and my assumption is that tomorrow things will start to get a little wild. I think that with the dwarfs, dark elves, vampire counts, and warriors of chaos, we're probably going to see a lot of these start positions be moved around. So I want to just kind of batch everything here together today that has not really moved. Everything for the most part that we're going to be talking about across the Beastmen, across the Wood Elves, across the Ogre Kingdoms, and the Vampire Coast really just hasn't moved. The Celostra Direfin might be the more important moving one. That not even important, it's just moved. But we'll kind of go through those here today, starting with the Ogre Kingdoms. As always, I have the Twitter page on the other side, and I also now have the updated start locations of all the Immortal Empires and Vortex starting locations. So that kind of gives us at least a better understanding of where the hell everything is. So taking a look here at the Twitter, we have, of course, our first two starting locations with the the hell are these guys called? Ogres. We have Grease's Goldtooth just at Krakatan, and Scrag the Slaughterer in the Myrmidons down here in the Western Border Princes. This is, of course, different than he was starting, or different than his start in the Chaos Realm, right? Which had him down over here by Reichland in the Southern Grey Mountains. So he has been pushed down all the way over to the Border Princes, which I think is kind of fun. It puts him right up smack dab with some pretty fun and interesting competition. He'll have Eltharion just to his south. He'll have, of course, some Greenskins to the northeast and some Clan Scryer to the northwest. If we possibly got a Tilia, Estalia type DLC with the Dogs of War, that could be a pretty interesting thing to see if Creative Assembly were to roll out a possible alliance between the Ogres and the Dogs of War in some way, shape, or form. And that's a good poll question of the day. What is another human faction you want to see brought into the game? Is it Amazonians? Is it Tilia? Is it Estalia? Is it Middenheim? Is it Marienburg? I want to hear a human faction that you want to see added. Is it another Norskin faction? Well, not Norskin, but another chaos quote-unquote barbarian faction like the Kurgan, something like that. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I want to know your feelings. Is it Ind, which isn't necessarily a human faction, but it does have humans in it? Koresh, which if I'm following the fanfic that I dearly love, it's not human at all. So that's what I'm sticking with. But you go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, what human faction would you like to see added to Total War Warhammer 3 in the future? So now we're done with the Ogres. Let's move on over. That's the wrong button. Fuck it, we'll do it live. There we go. So here we have the Beastmen here, and thank you, Wood Elves, for your lovely high elf accompaniment. So with the Beastmen, things are pretty much exactly the same. Looking at the map, I guess you could say that rather than Kazakh One Eye starting a little more north into Nordland, which has been the province here has been kind of truncated down, right? He's actually in the forest over here in Midland Wasteland, so he'll have a little bit more to, I guess, do. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right there, but he's over there nonetheless. But for the most part, everyone else hasn't moved from their starting locations, maybe shifted a little bit. This seems to be pretty much the same. He was in Southern Badlands before. He's kind of over to the, oh, no, this is about right. It's about right. Let me get the actual name of his. So Malagar, that's not even his name. We have Kazakh One Eye in the Black Pit. Malagor the Dark Omen is in Sunken Kernash. And then Morgur the Shadow Gave is in Montanus. And then we have Tarox the Brass Bull in Clarkaren. So we expect Morgur right here, and we expect our Tarox over there. So those two things, none of that has changed for the most part. Carcassone's got quite a lot of opposition with a lot of baddies all the way around. But when we get to the Wood Elves, we'll see some possible alliance for Carcassonne starting to flesh out. But I didn't expect Beastmen to really change. I guess you could put some other Beastmen characters further east, or even do different Beastmen. Like if they did ever want to do like an End Beastmen type thing, how it talks about anthropomorphic lion tiger people, that could be kind of fun. Or if we start to get it more into the chaos themed Beastmen and they wanted to do more of a northern chaos waste Beastmen, this leaves a lot more of the map open for that, right? Like, oh, we want to put more Zangors in, or we want to put in Slaneshi Gores, whatever the hell they're called again, and the Corn Gores, all those things. Like, having those options to be kind of part of a specific Beastman demon faction as part of a Legendary Lord character could be a lot of fun in the future. I mean, Tarks the Brass Bull kind of fits that already when we talk about Khorne, but nonetheless, I think this gives options for Beastmen in a future kind of expansion down the road, because they said they're going to be doing DLC and Lords different in the future. And my next poll question, man, that's going to be a fun one, so you guys let me know when we get to that next video. Moving into our Tomb Kings, we have a very unchanged map for them. Land of the Dead here with Such of the Imperishable in Khemri. We have Liberis, where High Queen Khalida lives, where she has historically lived. Arkham the Black over in the Sorcerer's Islands over here. A little bit different, right, than just being the Land of Assassins, but still, nonetheless, it's the same province, I believe. Actually, no, I think this is exactly where I'm looking at the other map. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly where he was. And then over here for Grand Hierophant Kotep is in Cleric Spire. So things over in the Dark Elf lands, by and large, haven't really changed. We're going to see some changes here, of course, with Elithanar already, and when we talk about the Vampire Coast in just a second. And I would imagine that the majority of the Dark Elves, as far as Malekith goes, the Hag Queen in Hellebrand, I would expect those two really not to change. But we do get two wildcard characters that I think are going to change, and we already have a Skaven presence that has left this area, right? We have this over here with Tretch back at the mountain. So I'm really curious to see if we'll start to get more of a presence of either another Warrior of Chaos or a different faction that starts maybe far higher up. Higher up, like Iron Frost Glacier, the Frigid Wasteland, Iron Mountain, different things that we could have starting in this location that could be a lot more fun and characteristic, or at least just put a little bit more spice in this area, rather than having three legendary lords that are Dark Elves, Morathi, Hellebrand, and Malekith, just kind of duke it out for supremacy across this land. I mean, you can make the argument that it's the same thing for the High Elves and Ulthuan, where it's these two factions kind of duking it out until one confederates the other. But I think the inclusion of Nakari on Ulthuan really spices up the Ulthuan play. So I would really like to see a stronger opposition, and that may be why they put Elithanar at Karen Kar as a way to kind of say, hey, this is a direct wrench into that cog to make it a little bit more of a spicier playthrough, rather than just Dark Elf supremacy in the north, and then they just kind of expand out. So we'll see how that kind of plays out when we get into actual fun and play testing with the Dark Elves. And actually, when we find out where the fuck they actually are on the map, that's another big thing too, right? Moving into... Oh, God, I did it the wrong thing again. Vampire. Oh, no. It's the Wood Elves. I'm dumb. And in the Wood Elves, pretty much nothing has changed. Orion in the King's Glade. Durthu at the Waterfall Palace. Sisters of Twilight in the Witchwood over here. And then Dryka over in the Griffinwood. It's exactly the same. The Heart of the Jungle has not been utilized by a Lord yet. It is part of the Wood Elf campaign, though, right? You know, you can jump on down here if you want to do that. And I don't see... I'm looking across... So there is a... In the oblasts, I don't remember which one it is. I don't remember if it's southern or the eastern. There is a haunted forest, and I think it means like forest of spirits in a specific Slavic language. I can't remember if it's Russian or Polish. And I'd like to see something... Basically, I'd like to see more Wood Elf characters linked to, like, say, the Heart of the Jungle. Like, I could see Talcyon in the future being put here. Is his name Talcyon? That just generic legendary lord for Talcyon, Wood Elf. No, that's not the character I'm thinking of. That's the location, Talcyon. There is a dude. What is his name? Erloth, Lord of Talcyon. That's what it was. Aha! I was like, shit, I know it's Talcyon something. But yeah, Erloth. I could see Erloth being put in the Heart of the Jungle just to kind of have a different starting location for him, as a way to expand the Legendary Lord options for the Wood Elves. I've always said that the Wood Elves don't have just a normal-ass Lord as a Legendary Lord, kind of like you get with every single faction. Like, hey, the guy is just a super normal generic Lord, just souped up into a Legendary Lord status. They get... the sisters that are on the dragon, right? They get Orion, who is essentially a large creature. We get Durthu, which is an Optimus Prime remake. We get Dryka, which is a smaller but an actual branch wraith, right? It's a smaller little creature. So having Erloth is just a kind of a generic, like, yeah, it's just a Wood Elf lord with a name. Yeah, starting at the heart of the jungle could be a cool way to kind of have a different starting location for the Wood Elves. Even having some of the locations in the Badlands, which do have like the Haunted Forest over here, could be a cool place for the Wood Elves as well, because the world roots do extend all the way over here, and it'd be kind of a fun little, like, oh, this is like the lost Wood Elf faction all the way over in these lands, and there is presence of Wood Elves and High Elves in these locations, especially over here where Imric starts, as there is an old High Elf tomb over there. But moving into our last faction of the day, we have the Vampire Coast, and as you would expect, nothing has changed except for Celestia Direfin, because she's the only one who doesn't really have like Barents, or at least grounding in lore, right? It's a character made by Creative Assembly, so when we look at Luther Harkin, he's at the Awakening in the Vampire Coast. Count Noctilus at the Galleon's Graveyard, the dreaded von Karstein vampire. Then we get Aranesso Saltspite over in Sartosa. So we got these 3 locations for these dudes, and dudes and dudettes. I'm in Southern California, everyone's a dude. And they're pretty much set, right? We knew that would kind of be the case. But Celestia Direfin, who used to start at the jungles of Paholaxa, is now all the way up here in the Twisted Glade. So a very different start location for her that puts a lot of pressure into this location. Like I was saying, the Wood Elves go from just being like, yeah, there's just kind of like 2 people next to them, to now a 3rd one, and we're probably going to get 2 Dark Elves over here, plus this 3rd one over here. So this location is going to get pretty wild pretty fast. We do have some other things in the Ashen Coast, Titan Peaks, the Bleak Coast, Iron Mountain, and Iron Coast as far as other starting location possibilities for other characters, but we'll kind of see how that plays itself out. Personally, with the Spine of Sotek, we won't see Thoric, right? We won't see Thoric down here because he was there in the Vortex campaign. We'll probably see him at Karak Azul. But I'd love to see a dwarf over in this location. You could put Grombrindal over there and say like, hey, yeah, he's fighting against the Dark Elves or something like that. He hates Malekith, so he's over in that location. You could have a lot of fun with putting other characters that maybe shouldn't typically be there in these locations that haven't been there before. That's the kind of big moniker, right? We've had Lizardmen, we've had Skaven, we've had High Elves, we've had Vampire Coast, Dark Elves, and Tomb Kings all in these locations. So putting something that hasn't been there before, even if it was like Bretonia, that could be kind of fucking wild as far as like, hey, this is a drastically different start location. You're going to be up against things that can pierce your armor because Dark Elves are riddled with it. You better watch your ass out. So I think kind of spicing up those locations could be pretty fun in the future. But this covers everyone here for the day. Wood Elves were just announced today. Dwarfs are going to be tomorrow, so we'll jump on those. I'll probably batch those together, so we'll have the Dwarfs plus... Oh, what's the progressions? Dwarfs and Dark Elves. So I'll probably put the Dwarfs with the Dark Elves, and we'll put them together on Wednesday, and I'll just release that video. And then we're going to get the Vampire Counts and Warriors Coast, the Warriors of Chaos together. So I'll probably pop them together on the Warriors of Chaos launch day. But guys, this covers our video for the start position update of the day. Hopefully we're getting some fun news as we come closer and closer to August on what we're going to be seeing, what we're going to be getting with that DLC that should be adjoining the Immortal Empires beta. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. I want to hear what your thoughts are on that poll question. What human faction do you want added to Total War Warhammer 3? Let it be known in the comment section below. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.